New 52. Well, yeah, if you want my opinion on that, I mean, in some ways, it's another in kind of like a long line of, I don't know, tricks is the wrong word, ways to make comics cool again, or ways to bring them back into people's consciousness. Like a lot of people wanted the number ones from the New 52 because they were like, oh, it's a number one, it'll be worth something someday, right? The reality of comics industry now is that there's so many books printed and there's not very many collectors for them. So like your books aren't going to be worth anything in 20 years. They're probably not going to be worth anything in 50 years. I mean, looking that far ahead is kind of ridiculous anyway. But like the whole new number one thing, that part's a bit of a scam. If you think that you're going to get money out of your books. The reboot itself, they did a lot of things right. The whole idea was for them to get lapsed readers, get new readers, and get some Marvel guys who were like, oh, I've never read DC before, I'll jump in at number one. And for the most part, they've been actually pretty successful at that. Like, the first month that DC did the New 52 stuff, they outsold Marvel Comics, which was the first month that they've done that since I think 1994 or something like that. Marvel has had kind of a strong stranglehold on single-issue comics for a really long time. And I think this was at least part of their idea. It was like, well, if we can get some readers over from Marvel, we can build a lot of excitement. 52 new titles, like that's a lot of new titles. That's a lot of... There's something for everyone, kind of. And to me, like, anything that gets more people reading comics is good. Like, I'm happy to see that part of it. The kind of downsides of it, like, I feel like a lot of the DC books ended up being kind of the same. Like, you reboot Batman, but it's basically the same Batman that you've had for 70 years. Or you reboot this, I don't know, like you make a new book called Static Shock that isn't really new, right? It's a character they've had for a long time. He's never had an ongoing book, or maybe a long time ago, yeah. And or you have Mr. Terrific. Like, to me, like, those characters, they're like, you could do something with those characters if you wanted to change it up. You could, like I say, you could experiment with the medium a little bit, make them more interesting than just, this is a superhero book. But a lot of DC's books kind of fall into this, I don't know if it's a trap or just mediocrity, is my feeling about.
It's a pretty strong word.
Well,
I love Batman.
I think Batman's good. Well, I think one of the Batman books is good. They released 4 Batman books. There's one by Scott Snyder, who is a younger writer, and Greg Capullo is the artist on that one. And he's did Spawn for a long time. He's actually quite a good artist. I think that book's actually good because you have a good writer-artist team. And I think that Detective Comics, which is still a Batman book, kind of exemplifies DC's attitude towards the relaunch, in that it's very, it's geared towards kind of a very male, very kind of younger teen, maybe early 20s, kind of, I'm going to use kind of another strong term, gore porn. Like, in the first issue, Joker rips his own face off. It's like, do we need to see that? Well, I mean, I understand there's some people who want that in their books. But on the other hand, I feel like there's a lot of DC books that are catering to this, like, younger, I don't know if the word is uninitiated or almost naive audience. Like, I understand how you might want people to read comics because they're, I don't know, because they're shocking, right? But I think that's, in a lot of ways, that's the wrong reason to read comics. Like, you should be reading comics because they're good, not because they're shocking. And I feel like more of the 52 are going for shock value than they are for good writing or good art or people who actually have something to say or characters who are engaging. Like, those things really seem pushed to the side in a lot of the books.